clenched fist, on the preface also saying, clenched fist salute to all those courageous comrades and the forces who are held captive in those concentration camps right now, who, with the work strike, and who are still standing. We still get reports from first, let me say this. Sometimes people have an issue when we refer to these places as concentration camps. But let me say this. When I talk about this, I mean, I had the unfortunate, quote-unquote, opportunity to not know about these places, not from a book I read or Oz TV show I seen, but I was to live and then to die inside those places. And one of the disadvantages that African people in particular, though, have, that it's not an acknowledged war. You know what I'm saying? We subjected to a lot of euphemisms, like other communities have the quote-unquote luxury of saying, acknowledging terms like propaganda bombs. Our community, they call them love and hip-hop shows. Other people acknowledge that they have political prisoners, you know what I'm saying? We subject to terms like war on gangs, war on drugs, so on and so forth. And what's happening in those places, what has happened in those places, we can't afford to euphemize them. We said we got to use brutal terms for brutal realities. And that's in regards to every attack that's been waged. In fact, we say, as opposed to saying terms like gentrification, we call it the land grab, as opposed to terms like prison, jails, concentration camps, and as opposed to terms like police brutality, police terrorism, because every day in our communities is a September 11. Again, clenched fist salute to those who are held captive right now, who standing and drawing a concrete correlation to what happened in the past. A lot of times we want to talk about struggle and attacks in a nostalgia type of sense. Many of those same names and people that we talked about before, they still subjected to attacks now. As our sister just pointed out, when we are with Jamal, we're still fighting to get them out. People like Imam, Jimmy Alameen, formerly known as H.R. Brown, Rochelle Sekou McGee, who was there August 7, 1970, you know what I'm saying, who's still one of the longest held political prisoners in this country. And I think it's important that we make sure we keep those names fresh in our minds and our hearts, not just during August, not just during February. And people say, okay, Black History Month. We say Black people are on the verge of becoming history. So I think we should intertwine these names and discussions in our everyday conversations, our relationships, our songs, our hip hop, you name it, to everything we do. So it's not by happenstance that many of us are not familiar with the names of Elliot L.D. Barkley, and that many of us make, as opposed to looking with infamy, but have a respect or reverence when you hear names like the Rockefellers. The state, the system knows that, recognizes that everything is political. Everything is political. Words, terms, fashion, music, everything is political. We must also be able to distinguish a war from a revolution. A war when you have two occupying armies, where they suit up and they boot up and they get out and they get out. The revolution when you gain the mass and participation of the masses of the people. You must understand it's not by happenstance that the state deploys many of these modern day Pied Pipers. It's not by coincidence, whether the hip hop artists, whatever, that Jay-Z, Slave Z, they would name a record company after Rockefellers. You know what I'm saying? Just like in Philadelphia, some cats call themselves the Rizzos. You know what I'm saying? Frank Rizzo. You know what I'm saying? Putting these names, you know, say, for our upcoming generation to look for some sort of reverence to these individuals. We have to struggle again, recognize that everything is political. We must use brutal terms for brutal realities. You know what I'm saying? And not just when it's politically correct to acknowledge that. So we should know these names, L.D. Barkley, so on and so forth, time to time, everyday conversations. Sunday Adekolu, who another courageous force who's been held captive for quite some time. He had addressed some of the shortcomings in regards to, this was under the tenure of Bill Clinton's, when the uprisings happened throughout the concentration camps, in response to the government refusing to rescind disproportionate sentencing with the crack cocaine as opposed to powder cocaine. And there were rebellions, not riots, but rebellions throughout the prisons, throughout the concentration camps, throughout the country. But what was missing from that? What was missing from that? It didn't have the connection that we seen during the Black Power movement of the 60s, the connection from those when the uprisings happened inside the prison. It was a correlation to the outside community. It was a climate. It was a climate where the conscious level was heightened. When people took the position like what William Thoreau said in Civil Disobedience, people understood that the only place for a just man, I'm gonna paraphrase it, a just man or a just woman was prison. They understood the purpose of prison. You had children who were honored. They would say, my daddy locked up, my mom was on the run, so on and so forth. As opposed to the state has done their job so much with the propaganda with the so-called war on drugs, war on gangs. You have people saying, I ain't got no mama, I ain't got no daddy. You know what I'm saying? And so the deal is being oppressed is embarrassing. Being oppressed is embarrassing. So a lot of times we try to jive ourselves about it. But kind of like with the Alcoholics Anonymous, one of their mantras is the first step in addressing the problem is recognizing that we have a problem. So we have to be upfront with this. You know what I'm saying? We have to call this question. You know what I'm saying? And because the deal is, we don't call it this, the state don't call it. It's going to be on their terms. We have to be very clear. And be very clear. And also recognize we in the stage of the game. It's bad, but it's good. Similar to this whole Trump era, similar to the era of Richard Nixon, as opposed to the class peace that existed under people like John F. Kennedy. Nixon, they call the campaign for law and order, it forced people to come into groups of contradictions. And a lot of people become conscious one of three ways: inspiration, aspiration, or desperation. Inspiration, aspiration, or desperation. As opposed to this whole thing about you read this book, you're going to become conscious, so on and so forth. And that's a reality. These are desperate times right now. So there's going to be a lot of reactionary responses. But those who got here consistent, we got to be steady on the ground, pushing this in, even when it's not fashionable. In fact, another thing that Minister people said was one of the most difficult jobs of a revolutionary is to fight in the interest of the people, even when they don't know their own interests. To fight in the interest of people, even when they don't know their own interests. That's a hell of a thing. You know what I'm saying? But the deal is, revolution is inevitable. This is a as Field Marshal George Jackson said, it's a parasitical system, it's a blood sucking system. So we gotta stay consistent. You know what I'm saying? Again, tying these names who are held captive, and also be very clear that we have to draw the correlation from those held captive to the outside community. We have a campaign called One Prisoner, One Contact. One prisoner, one contact. What that means in plain layman's terms is that everybody is any given time should be able to give us a status check on Mumia Abu Jamal, Sunday out at Coast, your brother, sister down the street. Because again, I know a lot of us have fell prey to the propaganda that people living in prison, people inside the prison, I hate to use the term living, they got cable TV, living this life of luxury. But the deal is, without that outside contact, in fact, as a tactic that was employed under Adolf Hitler in Nazi Germany, he said the first victims in the gas chamber was those who did not receive any mail, no outside contact. There are prisoners in Illinois right now today who have been dead over excess of 15 years, but the state still gets paid for them. They still have them on account. Why? No accountability. You know what I'm saying? They study who has contact, all that. So we ain't just talking about no love connection or buddy. We must put this in war context, in war terms. You know what I'm saying? So again, we use terms like somebody's locked up, they were held behind enemy lines. When somebody get locked up, they were kidnapped. We gotta start using those terms. We gotta say, as opposed to what's their bond, what's their ransom? As opposed to even saying stuff like a Joe got locked up, what do you do? That should not be our automatic response. You know what I'm saying? We got to be very, the real gangsters and banksters, you know what I'm saying? If this is what we're talking about, what was our justice, people like the Bushes and so many other, these other gangsters would have been buried up under the penitentiary. So we got to be very clear. Ain't no war on drugs, no war on gangsters, it's a war on the people. And when we don't fight back, if we don't organize, it can be defined as nothing less to administer UEP referred to as reactionary suicide. So like in Chicago, they have a thing with the street organization. They say, are you with this organization or that organization? Some cats say, no, I'm not involved, I'm just neutral. Ain't no neutral position in this war that's being waged. There is none. There is none. Some people come to, right on. Ain't no neutral position. And let me say this. Everybody ain't got to be on the front line freedom fighter. Again, we distinguish a war from a revolution. Some points of unity in the struggle, you know what I'm saying? We seen in Africa, we seen in Vietnam, where the people, some point of unity, you know what I'm saying? And that's what we got to do. We got to tie it to our poetry sets, our conversations, you name it. Again, like the state know, they know, it's not no happenstance. They have Pied Pipers, like Jay-Z, name a record company out of Rockefeller. Monica just pointed this some of the history. The Nelson Rockefeller alone, that's the only Rockefeller family in general, you know what I'm saying? These names should be in infamy. You know what I'm saying? We should be heralding names like, you know what I'm saying? Like Brother L.D. Brock and so on and so forth. We should know these names. Yes, sir. So again, I'm honored, we honored to be here, y'all. And let's make sure we correspond, keep updated with what's happening right now. Do not wait on it to become a safe subject, but what's happening right now, so those concentration camps. What we mean when we say safe subject, it's a piece one time they had on in the 80s, where they had Muhammad Ali on the Wheaties box, some Wheaties cereal. And this is prior to his physical death. And in the interview, I asked the representative of Wheaties cereal, he said, y'all, why would you wait until right now? Why is Muhammad Ali on the Wheaties box now? And the representative of Wheaties said, we put him on there now because he's safe. Do not wait on these conversations to become safe to talk about. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Do not wait on Oliver Stone or somebody to make a movie about it. Do not wait on a coroner to come through the coroner commission talking about there are 2 Americans, 1 black, 1 white. We telling you right now what's happening. You know what I'm saying? And these are not no hypotheses or we thinking or no abstract conspiracy theories. We very clear. Sister called me the other day and said, what do you think was going on in Chicago? I said, no, without thinking, take documented facts. We know what's going on in Chirac. We know about Norfolk Railroad dropping off assault rifles to these babies, you know what I'm saying, once a week. We know about Chicago being the hub, the major city in the country where body organs are being transferred. You know what I'm saying? We know if there was this amount of white poodles, not white people, white poodles being gunned down anywhere, it'd be a world uproar. We know that we are dying by design. You know what I'm saying? We clear on that, and we don't need nobody, no specialists come through a document and say, okay, you're right, we call them the question. And we said, we gotta see the time right now, we gotta make the connection. What's happening in Chirac, what's happening in Baltimore, what's happening inside those concentration camps, everything, we can reiterate, everything is political. Right on? Right on. So we, again, we honestly, y'all, we have another amazing, I'll be remiss if I don't mention this. We got a campaign, we're doing another campaign we engaged in right now, Save the Hampton House. This is the house that Chairman Fred grew up in as a child in Maywood, Illinois. We got to, we did a whole campaign to fight to save this house. You know what I'm saying? Tell you how I had a stake thing long range. His last surviving sibling, my uncle, had passed about 3 months ago. And the same day of the funeral, the state literally had agent provocateurs, not like the agent provocateurs, trying to turn this to a dope spot, trying to hustle about it. And this is a tactic they call salt the earth. Yeah. It's not like coincidence like the Oakland, California, West Oakland, where the Black Panther Party was organized and heavy. It was flooded with dope. West side of Chicago, flooded with dope. These are war tactics, y'all. So again, there's an attack on not only our lives, but our legacies. In fact, we go so far as to say that our legacies are more important than our life.
Yes, sir, Chairman.
Your life, you have to turn around the time and deal with the physical share, but you need a prototype, an example of how people can look and say, how do we deal with life situations? Because one of the setbacks is, a lot of people, when they get involved in struggle, this is one of the bad things. We say, nothing all good, nothing all bad. They come in with a reactionary response. They think that this is the first time this happened. You know what I'm saying? We get new blood in, and people say, man, I can't believe the police killed us. What you think the police been doing? You know what I'm saying? They don't break the news. This is the road. But so that a lot of people come in, and they just, it's like the old saying, if a tree falls in the forest, you don't hear the tree make a sound, it doesn't make a sound. Of course it makes a sound. But arrogance, that's a race and a class arrogance, if you don't know about it, you don't think it's happening. You know what I'm saying? Resistance has been happening. Resistance is happening. You know what I'm saying? So tell people, get your leg fast. Get involved in it. And in the state, they intend to wipe out our legacies because they know if the legacy is wiped out, you have people still playing catch up with, you know what I'm saying? But again, let's make the correlation from what's been happening to what's happening now, y'all. Again, we y'all keep our heads up, eyes open, and physically, we say what's our call, free them all. Power to the people, free them all.